role Sam Howard played in, a lot of the games last year, including the one against Navy comes to mind, just really having a leader like him out there. How did you kind of fill that void, and what was the defensive message going into this game?
Well, I think it's always next man up mentality. You talk about it all the time, but then when you lose somebody like Sam, I think the linebacker room, Coach Polk, did a really good job, because it wasn't just him, but obviously Dixon's been out also. So with Sam going out, it was, hey, we can do this. We're going to be just fine. Next man up. We trained for this. We're ready to go. And then there was no panic on the field. You could see it all week in practice. The guys got more comfortable. Chris Rogers did an unbelievable job stepping in, filling that void, getting everybody lined up. And I think, I think that just gave him a little bit more confidence, belief. He already had it, but just to solidify that you can do this at a really high level. And then Mackay, JC, those other guys that maybe haven't played as much in the past, they stepped up. When you see a team like Army, there's so much that happens in the box so quickly. And because they're under center and that B-back's 4 yards off the ball, everything happens very fast. Where the dive hits, the schemes you're getting, belly G, midline, just have to get on the perimeter. And so the reads are very hard and they're very quick. And so I think them being able to execute at the level that they did is going to give them more confidence now when we got to go stop 3-by-1 inside zone compared to what we just saw. Man, it's going to be a little bit more simple for them.
Yeah, Chris Rogers, he led the team with 10 tackles, and Mackay was fourth. And like you said, you saw Chris Rogers out there really gathering the defense so many times. And I think that's been something you've been wanting to see, a little bit of player leadership this year. Do you almost feel like a known leader like Sam Howard getting out of the game kind of made some other guys, I think, step up a little in that way?
I do, and I think that we're going to be better for it. When it's all said and done, we've got a lot of guys on this defense that are very young that we are trying to push into leadership roles, but maybe they don't have a lot of snaps under their belt. Last year we had Caleb Ransaw, that was a known, proven, he had played a lot of ball. Micah Robinson, Jonathan Edwards, even if it was somewhere else, they came in, they were known, proven, had played a lot of ball. Tyler Grubbs had played a ton of ball. So they had experience, but they had the film to kind of back up what they said. So when they spoke, people listened. I think a lot of these guys were trying to mold into leaders. They believe in themselves, but they need to go do it on Saturdays. And as the season's gone, they've gotten more confidence and more confidence. And Chris is one of those guys. Javion White's one of those guys who, you knew he could do it, and we wanted some of these guys to step up, and they're starting to make plays and believe in themselves. And even practice today, those guys are talking more than they ever have, and they're leading themselves. They're starting to lead others and bring somebody with them. So it's been fun to watch that growth. But I think a lot of times when you do have that known leader, sometimes people take a back seat to that person, but then when they are out for whatever reason, you kind of feel that void, and it's time to go fill it, and those guys did a really good job with that.
And then, for a defense that was struggling to make stops on 3rd and 4th down all game when they needed to, they were able to force a 3 and out. I guess, what does that really do for that unit's confidence going forward? Yeah,
I think that this team expects to win, and they don't know how it's going to happen, and it might not be pretty. Doesn't matter what the score is. We were down 14-0 against South Alabama, and nobody panicked. We're up 12-0 against East Carolina. All of a sudden, it's 16-12. Nobody panicked. Everybody, those guys just have a belief, and they know what the outcome's going to be. How they get there sometimes might not be the prettiest thing, but you see them respond over and over, and they find a way. And it's because of that, I think we have grown as a defense just to understand what we're doing works. And as you continue to have success, you continue to grow belief in the system works, what we're being told is working. We are good enough to do that even without X, Y, and Z on the field. We can still win really big football games. And so the belief, the cohesion, everything is growing as the season has gone on. And that's what you want. You want to peak as the year goes, not early on in the year. So that's what we're continuing to talk to our guys. We got to build. We're not there yet. We got to continue to grow. Coach said that we're not pretty yet. Once we are, and then we got a chance to be pretty good.
Yeah, that's sort of what I was going to ask. Actually, what I asked Craddock. The defensive stats kind of are middle of the pack across the board, but you're sitting here 6-1 and 3-0 in the league. How much better do you feel like these guys can play now that they've gone through this learning experience?
I think there's always room for growth, and you look back, and that's what we've had 2 bye weeks in a short time frame. And what you do in bye is it's really more self-reflection as opposed to anything else. Is what are we doing well? What are we not doing well? Personnel-wise, who do we need to use more? Who's maybe, do we need to give a little bit more of a break because we're using them too much? Or that's what we've had an opportunity to do. And so you just see what you do well, what you don't, and then the more reps these guys can get and the more consistency that they can have with what we're doing on defense, the better they're going to get. So, we're middle of the pack. One thing that we looked at was, well, why? Well, we got yards, and early in the season, the 2-minute drill is what we were not doing well on defense. You go to South Alabama, had a pick early in the drive, should have ended it. We got a penalty. Then we had a 4th down stop, had a penalty. It just kind of kept going down. The Duke game, I think it was 24-3 late in the second quarter, 2-minute drive. We played soft coverage and check down. And so all these yards start to accumulate, and you look back and scratch your head, how'd they get so many yards? And a lot of it was, sometimes those are yards we want them to get in order to win the football game. Same thing at the end of the Duke game. It's just, that's happened a few times too. So, numbers don't lie, but they also don't tell the whole story at times. The biggest thing that I think that we have improved on really the last 3 games is tackling. Early in the season, I think the first game was probably the best tackling game I've been a part of as a #1 game against Northwestern I've ever been a part of. After that, we were shaky the next few weeks. Missed tackles, arm tackles. And then the last 3, starting with that Tulsa game, we put a huge emphasis on taking extra steps, getting shoulders on people, gang tackling, and it's starting to show. Less missed tackles, less yards after contact, and those things add up throughout the course of a game. So we're going to continue you get what you emphasize. We're going to continue to emphasize tackling and just being where you're supposed to be, and good things will happen for us.
As Army was continuing to move and up and down that field, and it looked, from where I was sitting, it looked like some of the guys were getting a little bit on the tired side about the 3rd or 4th quarter. How did they come back so well on what Matty was referring to earlier on that 3 and out? I mean, that was like a tremendous recovery by your defense.
Yeah, I think 2 things. Number one, kind of what Bryce said when he was up here, we've got some grit, and that starts with Rusty Witt. And man, just every workout, every message he delivers, it just goes from the top down, from the head man, Rusty, and just kind of permeates throughout the staff and the players. And they believe no matter how hard it's going to be, we're going to find a way to win, because we put them in some really hard situations in the off season, and they've seen themselves overcome that. And the other part is when you have a little bit of belief, man, that can go a long way. And so I don't think people realize how big a play that was. It's 17-10. We're down by 7. It's 4th and 8, 7, whatever it was. You're down 1 touchdown to an option team, and we don't make if we don't make that play. I don't know how it's going to finish up. It's hard to stop those guys, but I think when Bryce came down with that ball, man, it just was a shot of life and adrenaline into everybody, and said, we are going to win this game. We've done it over and over. Guys were geeked up. They went back out on the field, and credit to Coach Summerall too. I don't think a lot of people understand. I think a lot of people would have just let that clock run out and gone into overtime and not given them a chance. Hey, if we don't stop them, we haven't gotten a 3 and out all day. But I think the belief that he had in the energy, our players, the staff, call timeout after 1st down, guys, we're getting this ball back. Call timeout after 2nd down, we're getting the ball back. 3rd down, Chris Rogers makes a great play. We got the ball back. We went down and were able to put the ball in the end zone. And I just think that little shot, that play with Jake and Bryce, man, just fueled everything. And it was fun to watch and be a part of. Appreciate y'all.